We start with security. The Jigawa State Police Command says it has arrested 4 suspected kidnappers and a firearms manufacturer in Ringim local government area of the state. The command's public relations officer, DSP Shisu Adam, who disclosed this in a statement made available to newsmen on Friday, added that the suspect, Bashir Muhammad, aged 50, was picked up in his home at Enduze Kawari village in possession of a pistol and 2 locally made rifles. He explained that the arrests were made through a joint operation by the police and local vigilante groups. According to Adam, during interrogation, the suspect confessed to manufacturing and selling firearms to unidentified individuals. Gunmen said to be numbering about 30 on Wednesday night attacked Mpape community in the Buari Area Council in the Federal Capital Territory. The incident led to the killing of 1 resident and abduction of 8 others. The report.
Residents who spoke to Trust TV said the kidnappers came into the area around 9 p.m. on Wednesday, attacking about 6 different houses, including the palace of the chief of the community, Peter David, who was among the 8 abducted persons. His sister-in-law, Josephine David, gave detailed account of how the incident took place.
For this place is the palace, His Royal Highness Zaki Wanjiare Serkefili. So he's a family to me. That's my brother-in-law. So that last night, my house is down there quite all right. So immediately we heard what happened. I was disturbed quite all right, but I don't know that they were involved. It was this morning that I find out that they were not around and they invaded the house. So we came in, we saw the doors, the rooms, everywhere was turned upside down. Both his palace is turned upside down. So we have been trying the line throughout yesterday. It wasn't going through till this very morning.
One of the residents, Shegun Jimo, was shot dead by the gunmen who divided themselves into groups. Kayode Ogun is a guardian to the deceased.
So I was called, that my wife called me, that so thing is happening in the environment. I say, where is my people? What if everybody is around? They say no, except Shegun. They did not know where about of Shegun. I say, what? Immediately they called me again that Shegun, they have shot Shegun die up there, because Shegun hear that a small pikin is crying inside the bush there, over there. He wants to go there to rush and rescue the baby from there. He was attacked with gun.
2 residents, Chinwe Wozo, and another lady who simply gave her name as Chichi, were among those that escaped the abduction by the whiskers. They gave further details about how the attackers got to their respected homes and abducted 1 person each from their homes.
My brother, they packed my guy's shoe, even my money, they burgled everywhere, all the rooms, collected money, collected shoes, carried everything, like the thing they could touch, and then they now carried the boy together. The guy is a mature guy, around 31 or so. So next, I saw some people, they were like knocking again. So in my mind, I thought maybe it's the people the boys that normally work for him, because some of them do sleep anyhow. So when I stood outside and I said, so let me go inside and lock door. And then I was seeing some men coming. So then I went inside because everywhere is lonely. So I went inside. I locked the door when I was locking this door. So I was kind of hearing their voices. I asked my mom that she should not talk, that some people are coming inside. I don't know who they are.
The attackers also shot another resident who was rushed to an undisclosed hospital in Abuja, where he was receiving medical attention.
The Nasarawa State chapter of the All Progressive Congress, the APC, has hailed the appeal court's judgment that overturned the decision of the Governorship Election Tribunal and affirmed Governor Abdullahi Sule as winner of March 18th governorship poll in the state. This is contained in a statement signed by the party's State Publicity Secretary, Otaru Douglas, and made available to newsmen in Lafia. The party, in the statement, welcomed with excitement the appeal court's decision, saying it had brought relief to the people. The tribunal had on October 2nd annulled the election of the governor and declared David Ombugado of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) as the winner of the election. Activists in Delta State have decried the alleged marginalization of persons living with disabilities in the electoral process. According to them, despite the provisions in the Electoral Act, when they decide to vote or be voted for, the process is cumbersome, if not near impossible for them. Jonathan Awayai has the details.
The call for simplification of the electoral process to enable persons with disabilities participate easily follows challenges encountered by them in the not-too-distant elections in the country. They therefore want those tasked with the responsibility of conducting elections to be intentional about not disenfranchising them through rigorous processes that are not PWDs friendly.
And of course, which also involves you and I, should become more conscious of the fact that life doesn't begin and end with only me. There are people who cannot hear. There are people who may not be able to see, impartial or full. There are people who are inhibited by, mobility, limited by their limbs and all of that. And these people also have a right to live because they also have breath. Now, what are we able to do to make sure that life is really worth living, especially in the third world like in Nigeria? When it's time to vote, how comfortable, how realistic is this experience for them? As regards education, for example, in Delta State, there is no special Braille school. So it simply means that if you're blind or visually impaired, you don't have the right to go to school.
Some people doesn't have hand. How would they thumbprint? How would they write? So create this environment so that people with disability can feel as a citizen of a given country.
We receive them and take them along, whatever we are doing in this country. Because for we to marginalize them in this country, I think it is not fair. I advise our leader at least to make sure that at least whatever Nigerians are doing, they should also consider disabled people in Nigeria.
They called on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, political parties as key drivers of the democratic process and governance in Nigeria to take the lead in encouraging the full participation of the PWDs as citizens with equal rights in all party processes, procedures, and activities. Adding that there is a need for more people with disabilities take on more executive, political, and leadership roles at all levels. They urge the electoral umpire to offer priority voting to the marginalized populations. Jonathan Awaye, Trust TV News, Asaba.
The National Economic Council has resolved to set up a National Flood Management Council to be domiciled in the office of the Vice President, which will oversee a roadmap for flood mitigation, adaptation, preparedness, and response in Nigeria. The Council's resolution came on a day it endorsed special agro-industrial processing zones in 7 participating states in the first phase of the 5-year development plan. Kehinde Amodu reports.
Floods have continued to pose a growing risk to states across Nigeria, primarily because of inadequate flood planning, unwise human settlements in flood-prone areas, and serious disruption of natural processes. The last 3 rainy seasons in the country have been particularly devastating, which is why the National Economic Council set up a committee to work out a comprehensive roadmap for flood mitigation, adaptation, preparedness and response in Nigeria.
For emergency livelihood support to persons at risk of flood disaster during 2023 rainy season. Secondly, to review existing reports and plans relevant to the mitigation and response to flood disasters in Nigeria, as well as the report by the National Economic Council Committee on Flood.
Meanwhile, Kano, Imo, Kaduna, Cross River, Kwara, Oyo, and Ogun states and the Federal Capital Territory are to be designated special agro-industrial processing zones. It is expected that the program will create 3,000 jobs in the participating states from site construction and a collective 500,000 jobs when production and processing start. It will also improve the livelihood of 100,000 farmers in the participating states with the development of agribusiness MSME clusters for primary processing of agricultural products.
The program is, in a sense, like the name connotes, it's a special agro-processing zone. It's a one-stop shop where we will site it in peri-urban areas, not exactly in urban areas, and where you will have both production, aggregation, and processing.
The council also keyed into the health sector renewal program, which it hopes to finance by a specially dedicated pool of funds to drive investment in healthcare value chain. The centralized facility financing is expected to help the program improve the service readiness of 17,000 primary healthcare centers and 774 secondary facilities. The aim is to deliver universal primary healthcare free to all beneficiaries.
17,000 primary health centers to be put on a threshold of viability, 774 secondary facilities, that is hospitals, in addition to some tertiary institutions, just to make sure Medicare is brought close to the majority of Nigerians.
At the end of September, the excess crude account stood at well over $473,000, while the stabilization account had a closing balance of 37.597 billion naira. In the same vein, the current value of the natural resource account is 144.683 billion naira. From State House Abuja, Kehinde Amudu, Trust TV News.
The establishment of a bitumen commission is underway as the Nigerian Senate this Thursday passed the bill for second reading. The sponsor of the bill, Jimoh Ibrahim, said the piece of legislation seeks to provide a legal framework for the promotion of research, study and exploration, development and utilization of locally sourced bitumen in Nigeria. The report.
In his lead debate, the Ondo South Senator Jimoh Ibrahim explained that the investment on bitumen is of immense benefit to Nigeria, being a $147 billion industry. He observed that the only way Nigeria could maximize the bitumen potential is to establish a commission to become one of 5 countries in the world that currently exploit bitumen. Senator Ibrahim noted that the product has the potential to serve as new oil in Nigeria.
Even if we are to borrow money to develop bitumen today, there is no legal framework. So nobody can borrow us money when there is no any law. Even if we are to develop it and bring international skill, there is no law. We don't have any law. There is nothing can develop without law.
Other lawmakers in their contributions stress the need for economic diversification of the country in view of its mineral deposits, which has remained largely untapped, citing bitumen as one of such mineral deposits.
The bill is all about drawing attention to an important area that has been neglected, an area that has a potential of earning $110 billion. Bitumen is critical not only to the road network, but to the economic growth of Nigeria.
The idea of a commission solely for bitumen, however, did not go down well with some lawmakers for reasons personal to them.
I have difficulties in accepting that the creation of a commission will by itself lead to exploration of bitumen.
Bitumen is nothing but heavy oil. Therefore, I do not think that it is outside the remit of the Petroleum Act.
The bill nonetheless scaled through second reading and has since been referred to the Senate Committee on Solid Minerals. The committee is to report back in 2 weeks for further legislative inputs.
Having read this bill for the second time, it is now referred to the Committee on Solid Minerals to report back to the Senate in 2 weeks.
If the proposed legislation scales through both in chambers of the National Assembly and consequently a Bitumen Development Commission is established after presidential assent, it will be the first law on exploration development and thereafter export promotion for bitumen in Nigeria. Rashidat Yusuf for Trust TV News.
The fifth batch of 50 more graduates out of the 1,100 indigenous students that graduated with first class and sponsored by the Kano State government to study abroad have been airlifted to India for their master's degree programs. The beneficiaries departed Malam Aminu Kano International Airport for Lagos on Friday, from where they would be airlifted to India. Now, speaking immediately after the takeoff, the Commissioner for Higher Education, Yusuf Ofermata, who witnessed the departure of the students in company of the other government officials, said the beneficiaries, when they arrive in India, would be taken to various universities, including Sharda, Symbiosis, Mewar, Sri Sai, Swaramni, and Kalinga for commencement of their master's degree programs in different disciplines. Gopher Mata noted that the students are first-class graduates who were meritoriously selected based on their performance in their undergraduate programs, adding that they would study in internationally competitive areas of professionalism to bridge the manpower gap in the state and across the nation. A crash involving a car and a truck occurred in the early hours of Friday at the Magboro end of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. An eyewitness who was at the scene of the accident reported that no life was lost. The accident involved a Toyota Camry with a number plate SMK 436GB and a Mercedes-Benz truck with a number plate AKD G43XM. The crash happened around 8:10 a.m. just before the Magboro bus stop side of the road. The car was heading towards Ibadan while the truck was about to get on the road before the collision happened. Reports say that the accident has caused a gridlock on the inward Ibadan lane of the expressway. You're watching News Update on Trust TV. Coming up, we will tell you the lack of basic amenities that leads to the rise in price of commodities in Benue community. These and more after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is News Update on Trust TV. Here's a report or recap of our top stories. Police arrest suspected kidnappers and arms manufacturer in Jigawa. And fifth batch of Kano graduates depart for India on foreign scholarship. Moving on to more stories, Borno State Governor Babagana Umara Zulum have directed the construction of about 4-kilometer road network at Federal Polytechnic, Mongono. The governor ordered the allocation of a building owned by Borno State government for use as a hostel by the Polytechnic. Zulum directed that the road construction be executed in phases, with the first phase to commence in January next year. He gave the directive during a visit to the permanent site of the Polytechnic, which is under construction in Mongono town. Meanwhile, Governor Babagana Zulum has approved the release of 20 million naira to the Specialist Hospital Mongono for the hospital's management to cater for the hospital's immediate needs. Zulum also ordered an incentive package to be distributed to all staff who had reported to work at the time of his visit in order to motivate them.
I want to commend the team director of the hospital's management board, and I also want to commend the principal medical officer and all other medical and paramedical staff that are working here. In order to encourage youth and provide additional fund 20 million naira to you. So that we can identify some of the major challenges.
The lack of basic social amenities like roads, hospitals, and educational institutions has become a source of concern for most rural settlements in Benue State. The absence of these basic facilities has resulted to mass migration of young people from the rural areas to the urban settings. According to Jimmy Adsande, who filed in this report, this mass migration is a major setback to the rural economy. His report.
According to rural dwellers in many settlements, no one has ever seen a hygienic water source within their communities. Hence, they are restricted to available sources, which in most cases are not healthy. There is lack of potable water in our village. The water source is a river, and it is contaminated and not good for consumption. I am a food vendor, and a major challenge is potable water. This is negatively affecting my Our farm settlements are quite a distance. Same way we go looking for water. Sometimes we go hungry for lack of water. The absence of health facilities and electricity, they also said, is the reason why many prefer to migrate to urban settlements like Makurdi. The distance we go in search of health facilities has caused many avoidable deaths. We hope someday someone will come to our rescue. I travel far away to recharge my clippers for the health court business. Without electricity, my business is suffering setbacks. This is the reason why many people choose to live in town than live in villages. Opinion experts and policy analysts opine that granting local government autonomy is the only way development can reach rural communities.
And if you go through around the country, you agree that the third year of government is not functioning at all. So I think that is my view concerning that. There's no autonomy now. So if at the end of the day the houses of assembly are able to vote in favor of that proposal, then the local government autonomy will be granted. I think it will be better off for it.
Residents of Benue said the practice over the years has been one in which politicians listen to the demands of the rural dwellers during campaigns, lamenting that once they are in government, no one remembers the conspicuous infrastructural deficits, which is a catalyst for rural to urban migration in Benue State. Jimmy Azandi, Trust TV News, Makurdi.
From the international scene, a 4-day Gaza ceasefire agreed by Hamas and Israel has taken effect for the first time after 7 weeks of war. The Gaza Strip endures a night of intensified bombardment from air, land, and sea ahead of the start of Qatar-mediated truce, the UN said. Another Palestinian journalist, Amal Zoud, and family members were killed in Gaza City, according to the Wafa news agency. Meanwhile, Israeli military raids continued overnight across the occupied West Bank, where some 211 Palestinians have been killed. More than 14,800 people have been killed in Gaza since October 7th. In Israel, the official death toll from Hamas attack stands at about 1,200. In sports, Nigeria and 16 other countries have converged in Abuja to campaign for tickets to the canoe event of the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. The competition is the first confederation of the African Canoe Sprint and Para Canoe qualifiers, which began at the Jabi Lake on Tuesday and will end on Saturday. The other countries involved in the competition are Algeria, Angola, Djibouti, Egypt, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Kenya, Morocco, and Mozambique. Others are Sao Tome, Senegal, Seychelles, South Africa, Tunisia, and Uganda. Speaking on the competition in Abuja, the president of the Rowing, Canoeing and Sailing Federation, Admiral Festus Porbeni, who was flanked by the President's Confederation of African Canoe, Joao Manuel da Costa Alegra Alfonso, and other officials of the body, expressed Nigeria's readiness to host the rest of Africa. In his address, the CAC president, Joao Manuel da Costa Alegre Afonso, saluted the resilience by the Nigerian Rowing, Canoeing and Sailing Federation, saying the challenges which trailed the championship opener could only make Nigeria better. And with that, we wrap up news updates on Trust TV. Do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. Join our YouTube live stream for more news, programs, and documentaries. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Thanks for watching.